you.
Right, for my final dish, obviously you like the mussels and
Yes.
you love this seafood. I thought I'd do fish with this. Lemon sole, I know you're a big fan of.
Delicious, yeah.
So we'll do little goujons of lemon sole, nice little chilli jam with a bit of watercress, bits and pieces. Running through the chilli jam, because I know you like this
I love spice.
Well, this is how to create it. So we've got lemongrass, I've got tomatoes, I've got peppers, I've got chilli, we've got onions, we've got garlic. And all I'm going to do with this is basically just blend it in a food processor, add it to the pan with some sugar and vinegar and cook it down for about an hour, and that's how you end up with this chilli jam. There is a simpler way to do it with red wine vinegar, and I've done it before with a little bit of rice wine vinegar, but I think this one's really, really nice. So all you do with this, with the lemongrass particularly, and you can grow this in the bottom of your garden as well, lemongrass. It grows really well in the UK.
Does it?
Yeah, it grows fantastically well, and we basically just... Because it's tendons on it, and if you don't chop it quite small, even when you put it in a blender, it goes quite stringy. So you've got to cut through that first of all. But I mean, you're here all morning to talk about so many things that you've been up to as well. We didn't get a chance earlier to talk about, I mean, the amazing soccer aid that you've been involved in for quite a number of years now.
Yeah, wonderful.
This year was spectacular.
Well, it was, and
slightly surreal.
It was very surreal, being in a stadium with actually no fans, no crowd, no noise. And the guys said that when they were, and the girls were playing football, and there was just no kind of like clapping or shouting, and it was kind of eerily quiet. Dermot and I were like, this is actually very relaxing.
But even when you're seeing golf, was golf? Golf was the first sport to be put.
One of them
to be put back on the block again. Really,
well, it's also one of the things that we were allowed to do, play golf.
But it was quite surreal, even watching that golf on television. It was, you missed the crowd, don't you? That's the weird. Even as a competitor as well, they must have felt that, because it's almost playing around a golf like you do on a Sunday afternoon, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think, you know, when you watch the football, they've just got to focus, haven't they, differently? And of course, I don't know how I'd cope with that.
And of course, you've been touching on that, because we talked earlier about the podcast thing was just fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Well, tell us about, just recap really what you're up to, because there's a good thing that's come out of this. It's everybody's learned to diversify, haven't they, really, and try and do a different avenue.
Absolutely, and I think the thing for me was that I wanted to do this podcast. I was in talks to do it, and we had it all geared up to go, and then lockdown happened, and then it was a bit like, well, we can still do it. You know, there are means and ways of doing things. So we just did it by Zoom, you know, did it by Zoom.
There's always ways around it, isn't it, really?
And actually, it's been even better, because I've got more sportsmen and women because they've had more time, and they're probably a bit more relaxed, so I've got more out of them, delving deep.
Well, you can also get access to more people, because they don't have to travel.
That's right. So it's been great. So I've been able to sort of pick and choose and get who I wanted to, because they, you know, there's time to do that, and it's been brilliant. I'm loving it. I'm just loving it. I love interviewing. I love talking well, I love talking, and I like finding out more about these brilliant athletes.
Really. Out of all the sports that you've been involved in, and I've been on Sky Sports for
so many years.
Well, it's 20 years.
20 years-ish, yeah.
20 years. Anything particularly? You say that you're sporty, and you're into your fitness, you're running and all that kind of stuff. But there's one sport that you still excel. You've taken your father's genes on.
Love golf.
Golf is.
Love it. I love golf. I think it was going to go either way, wasn't it? You either hate it or love it.
But naturally good at it. You often find that, you know, the next generation doesn't want to do it or rebels against it, that kind of stuff.
Well, my sister doesn't play golf. My brother's an amateur golfer. He's really good.
He's pretty handy.
Could have been a pro, you know. But didn't. He went down a different sort of road. But my dad, I don't understand it. My dad used to, or what I'm sure he once said, you could have been a golfer, but he now denies that, James.
Really?
So I'm like, hang on a minute, but you did say that. But no, he's trying to get my son, Oscar, who's 13, he's trying to get Oscar into the game more, and actually he's quite good. He's quite a handy little player.
But it is one of
those...
those...
We may have another golfer come from
But it is like many sports. I mean, to be good at it is one thing. There's a lot of people who are good at stuff. But golf in particular, there are a lot of people good at golf. There are a lot of people with zero handicap and stuff like that. But to break through that barrier is an awfully tough thing.
That's what's been interesting to me, finding out more about these people on the podcast, because what makes one person who's really very good to the actual someone who's going to be brilliant and be a professional.
Do you pinpoint it down to one thing? Or there isn't such a one thing. It's dedication, it's mentality.
Yeah, it's all of those things.
It's all of those things.
It's support from the family. It's a love of sport, probably from parents and family or a family member. I think most of the people, when I say to them, what did sport mean to you when you were young, it was definitely that, you know, oh, my dad loves whatever, golf, cricket, and he took me out and I just was quite good at it. And you've got to have that commitment, you've got to have that drive, and you've got to have that passion. And that, as we know, sports lovers, that is absolutely what you need to be. But it is interesting to see those that make it, and this looks amazing, man.
So these are the lemon soles. So basically what we do is we take seasoned flour, plain flour, into the egg, like that, roll it around in the egg. This is kind of like the glue that comes with it. And these little fellas in this little bowl, these are called panko crumbs. They're Japanese breadcrumbs, but what they are is a dried bread that they kind of shave. So normally with breadcrumbs, you just blend bread, and you end up with a much smaller crumb. What these are, these little panko crumbs, it's not a trademark thing. It's just a name of the crumb itself. But these ones over here, and what they do is they dry the bread and shave it. And what you end up with is this crusty sort of crumb, different edges. So when you fry them, you get this amazing texture from it as well. But all I'm going to do that is when you're doing these little goujons as well, it's a good idea to sort of drop them up individually or small amounts at a time. Keep the oil really, really hot, because these are going to take no more than about a minute to cook. And these are going to go literally in the deep fat fryer, and they'll take about a minute, something like that.
Oh, really?
As well.
Very quick.
So they're going to go in. So what's next for you then? You've got the podcast thing. You've got.
Well,
you know what's on the horizon for you? Because obviously you're still looking forward to the sport that's coming back, hopefully, next year.
The podcast, we've got lots to do. I want to keep, you know, speaking to people and recording, and, you know, we'll get Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. I can't say I'll promise it. I'll make a few phone calls after this. But...
Please do. No, I mean, I've got my hit list, and there are lots of people I want to talk to for the podcast. But also, I'm looking at maybe a couple of projects, possibly translating this into a sort of TV project of sorts. So that's kind of what I want to do with this, is that I want people in general to embrace it. It's not just sports fans, but I want it to be something where people go, do you know what, that was really interesting. It's just a sort of journey about a person.
Tell you what, when you run out of sportsmen, I reckon you should do chefs. You'll get a whole.
I was just going to say chefs would be great.
That's a whole different ball game. That is.
You've given me a brilliant idea. Yes. Yeah. How would you feel about that, James?
Well, Kate Thornton does one.
Yes, she does. That's right.
And got me monument. Anyway.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, I must listen to that
one. And the podcast went on. It's supposed to last for 30 minutes. I think it went on for about 4 hours.
And did you open up to her?
I can't remember what I said, to be honest with you. I can't remember what day of the week it was, to be honest.
4 hours is quite a long time.
Exactly. So literally...
Give me another idea there.
Exactly. Load of chefs. So literally, we're just going to then take our little goujons out.
They look great,
don't they? The remainder of last week's dinner in there. But anyway, sorry about that one. That one's... Tell you at my house, there's bits, I don't know what that is in that one. A bit of salt on here, and then these are the little goujons. Look.
Oh my God.
They're lovely, and they don't take hardly any time to cook at all.
The kids would love these.
Well, yeah, but
great, aren't they?
To me, they are. If you've got great fish, like a little bit of lemon sauce and plaice, that kind of stuff like that, these are just delicious. So,
look at that.
Little goujons dipped in a little chili jam.
Yum.
With a nice bit of lemon, a lime on the side. What more do you want? And obviously a little bit of watercress you can put with it if you wanted to for a little garnish, because it's local. A nice little bit of watercress. So there you have it, my lemon sole goujons. Gorgeous. With a nice little chili jam. Done.
So good.